The Ultimate Fighter is back and I am excited. TUF 29 at UFC Vegas 12 was announced in the middle of the card via a trailer. It is official for March 2021. Dana White came out in a press conference as well and agreed with this and said that it is official. So we have finally got the Ultimate Fighter back on our screens. I don't even know how we're going to be witnessing it. Hopefully it's on Fight Pass or something like that, but I'm not sure. But I just can't wait to have an Ultimate Fighter season back that I care about, and not just because of its long hiatus of 2 years, but I'm talking about an Ultimate Fighter season that I care about because the last few Ultimate Fighter seasons, I'll just read you some names right now. Whittaker versus Gastelum. Don't get me wrong, I love Robert Whittaker. I love Kelvin Gastelum. They are not the right guys for the Ultimate Fighter. Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. Don't get me wrong. I like Stipe Miocic. I like Daniel Cormier. They are not the right guys for an Ultimate Fighter coaching show. I am so ready to be hit with an amazing set of coaches at the Ultimate Fighter next year. And you know what I also want to take place? I said this last year when this was in discussions as well. And I said that Covington versus Woodley should be on the Ultimate Fighter. I thought this was going to take place ages ago, so don't blame me here. I know that's long in the past, but still, I thought that would be a great show to take place. I also said that maybe it could happen at Fight Island, which was also a rumor at the time that I made the video. So maybe we'll actually get that official, get them all over to Fight Island, and we can sell it as the Ultimate Fighter Fight Island. And now we just need coaches, because right now everything has been released. We know what date it's coming back. It's coming back in March of 2021. We know that Dana White offered Khabib and McGregor a lot of money to coach on the show. So we know that Dana White and the UFC is willing to fork out some cash to really make this season very, very special. But still, I can't wait for the Ultimate Fighter. We know that a bantamweight division from regionals and a middleweight division will be competing on the show. But one thing we don't know, that we need to know, that is the only thing I really care about on the Ultimate Fighter, is the coaches that will be taking on each other on the show. I don't care about anything else. Honestly, I do mind. I don't mind if there's not too many great talented fighters on the show. We'll get to know them through the exhibition matches on the Ultimate Fighter. I don't mind if the divisions, don't need that much help and we're just doing the show for the sake of it. I don't mind if the whole show is a complete mess and the camera guy goes for a nap in the middle of the show and just cuts the camera to black, so long as we have microphones attached to the right coaches that are going to be talking shit to each other on this show, because that's what the Ultimate Fighter is all about. If I go back in history and I look at the best Ultimate Fighter shows, McGregor versus Faber was always one of them. St. Pierre versus Koscheck was one of them as well. Rampage versus Evans was one of them. Bisping versus Henderson was one of them. There were so many great Ultimate Fighter seasons, and it was because of the animosity between the coaches. I'm so emotional about this right now because I swear to God, I'm just trying to will this into existence because it feels like the UFC makes a lot of stupid decisions. But now that I know that Dana White came out and said that he offered Conor McGregor and Khabib on the show, I know for sure that they're not worried about their budget. They're looking to come back with a bang and take over the headlines on the Ultimate Fighter, because I'm sure if they come back with good coaches, this will blow up and reignite the Ultimate Fighter and save it for a little bit longer, because this was one of my favorite shows back in the day. I used to stay up. I used to try and find a different way of watching it because I'm from the UK. It was very difficult to watch things in the to do with the UFC back then in America. It was very difficult to get a hold of any footage or any video back then of the Ultimate Fighter, but I found a way to do it. I was so eager. It was one of my favorite shows. But I will say this: Masvidal versus Covington need to be the coaches on the show, and I won't stand for anything else. I genuinely won't take anything else. I won't. Jorge Masvidal versus Colby Covington, the Ultimate Fighter Fight Island, to kick it off in the new year of 2021, to save some cards for champions to go back, because I know that Masvidal versus Covington was being talked about for February. I don't care about that happening in February if it means that we have to wait a little bit longer so that we can watch Masvidal and Covington go back and forth on the Ultimate Fighter. I will happily wait a couple of months, put some championship fights on the card in February. That actually might help out things in the long run. I feel like there is no better match for the Ultimate Fighter than Masvidal versus Covington. It's perfect right now. Masvidal is not in an eager rush to fight. We've seen that because he's turned down a couple of guys, and he could have accepted the Covington fight already, and that fight could have been done by now. If they really wanted to make Masvidal versus Covington, that fight could be done. If they really wanted to make Diaz versus Masvidal 2, the BMF rematch in January like they were planning on, that fight would probably already be in the works or signed. We have not heard any news about it. Masvidal's been radio silent. Colby Covington has been surprisingly silent as well. Please, dear God, give me Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal on Tough. I actually want to pray right now. And I hope you guys are praying along with me because I need some excitement on Tough. I don't want to see Shevchenko versus Maia rematch on Tough. I don't want to see Nunes versus Holm 2 on Tough. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to see Stipe versus Ngannou 2 on Tough. I need animosity. That's what The Ultimate Fighter was all about, proven by the fact, again, TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt, one of the best seasons of Tough, purely because of the back and forth. They were talking over the weigh-ins. Weigh-ins are a big part of The Ultimate Fighter show, to see the fighters get on the scale, see how they look, because they're cutting weight every couple of weeks to make it in the cage, but still, TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt literally would argue over the weigh-ins nearly every week, and it would be way more entertaining than... I wouldn't even mind if as soon as the fight started on The Ultimate Fighter to determine who got through to the next round, they just cut to a silent room with Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw in a room together and just let them go at it for a little bit. On mute. I don't even have to hear the words. Let me just see their body language in a room with each other, and I'll watch that over the fights on Ultimate Fighter. Don't get me wrong. I love the aspect of the show, but with me, there's a little bit of a missing spice when there's no heat between the coaches. Masvidal and Covington, imagine, guys. You know when you go on The Ultimate Fighter, you bring in coaches from your gym and big names from your gym to appear on the show? Imagine if Colby Covington is on one side and Jorge Masvidal is on the other side. Now wait for me. And Masvidal brings in coaches from ATT, Dustin Poirier as a guest to maybe build up his fight with McGregor. I don't know, the fight with McGregor might have already happened by then. We'll see how that one goes, but maybe he brings in Dustin Poirier to give a couple words to the fighters on the show, and then Colby Covington and Dustin Poirier getting a bit of a back and forth. I just think it would be perfect, and it would perfectly tell the story. We don't need promos anymore. You know what we've been doing recently in our promos? We've been making do with little bits of interviews, highlights from fights, little scuffles backstages. If we had The Ultimate Fighter, you don't need to work a promo. You've got it in a season. You know what I mean? There's no heat between. Like, TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt was literally 5 minutes of Garbrandt grabbing TJ's throat on a loop. That was all the promo they used, pretty much. The Ultimate Fighter is so good. And I hope they bring it back for this exact reason, because I know that Masvidal versus Covington... Listen, Masvidal's in a position right now when he's making a lot of money. They would happily take a paycheck to go on Tough. And why wouldn't you want to be a coach on The Ultimate Fighter anyway? I've never understood that, why people turn it down. It sounds like such a fun thing to do. Be a coach. I'd also like to see, maybe we see a different side of Covington. How is Covington when the cameras aren't all about the show and it's all about him just coaching a couple of guys? Do we see a different side of Covington? Do we see a different side of Masvidal? And then when they're together, they're back in action, talking shit to each other. I think it would be amazing. I hope they don't make up on the show, because that would be really annoying. But what I do want to see is all out, in each other's face. Masvidal better serve up a three-piece. I don't care if it lands or not. I need to see Masvidal with his hands behind his back, walking up to... I can already see it in my brain. I can see Masvidal bursting into the locker room and hands behind his back, walking straight up to Covington and unleashing combinations on him for something he said. And that would go viral. Millions of views. I don't care. I also thought maybe Adesanya versus Blachowicz could be on this show. I would not care. Adesanya will probably lose more fans again. Every single time Adesanya trash talks with someone, it goes downhill for him. We saw that with Paulo Costa. A lot of people say after the Adesanya fight, where are the Paulo Costa fans? After Adesanya beat him in the fight. What I say to you Adesanya fans is, where were you in the press conferences? Because Costa, with a tenth of the English language, was tearing him to shreds, and Jan Blachowicz has got a pretty understandable amount of knowledge of the English language. I reckon he'd spin Izzy in circles. That's not a good look. Plus, I want that to happen a bit sooner as well, so we can move on with the divisions, rather than holding up a whole division with a super fight. But still, I don't want to see Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. I don't care. If I did want to see anyone with Israel Adesanya, it would be John Jones versus Israel Adesanya. Maybe that could be the next season if things go well. Who knows? The Ultimate Fighter adds so much to the fight game. It adds so much to the fight game. Just the potential matchups we could make in the future. Honestly. Maybe Magomed Ankalaev versus Ion Cutelaba, the trilogy, takes place next on The Ultimate Fighter. I don't want to curse it, though. You know, we don't want to ask for things too good. And plus, Cutelaba, you know, it's going to cost them millions to get him on the show. But still, Masvidal versus Covington, The Ultimate Fighter Fight Island. Here's what I also want to happen. And I know this can't happen. I know this can't happen. But I want, if a guy loses on the show, you know how they keep guys around on the show after they lose? I think that ruins the whole fucking show. What I think should happen if a guy loses a fight on the show is they should put him in a little rowboat and just push him out into the sea. Just push him out into the sea. Off you go. You're done. You lost. Maybe he's still unconscious from the fight and they just drag him onto a rowboat with one oar. Not even two oars, so he can go round in circles. Push him off into the ocean. Off the island. That would be so good. Or he just gets carried off by eagles or something. I don't know what they would do. My mind's racing with imagination. I'm just picturing every scenario of Masvidal Covington. I can see it already, them looking at each other. Then Masvidal turns around. Then boom, it's just on. And there's a promo made. And there's millions of views on a clip of YouTube. But yeah, the only thing that's ruined The Ultimate Fighter recently has been bad coaches. Like, no one care. I care about Whittaker and Gastelum. I do, but it's just like, there was nothing. Like, good job, mate. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? I'm going to go eat over here. That was Gastelum's whole thing on the show. I'm going to throw up while doing the running challenge. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Let me see people attack each other. That's what we need. That's what we need in life. Everyone needs that right now. The UK's going into a second lockdown. I need something. I need something right now. And if it's violence between friends that are now enemies, I'm down. And maybe we'll get to the bottom of this whole beef as well, because we still don't know. Jorge Masvidal said that Colby didn't pay his coach. Colby Covington said, why would I pay the coach? He didn't even show up to my fight with me with Maia because he was scared about what the Brazilians would think about him being in the corner because the coach was Brazilian. Maybe we can finally hear that situation. Maybe Masvidal can even bring in that same coach onto the show to weigh in. Maybe Joanna Jacek makes a guest appearance. Who knows? Oh, it could be amazing, man. I'm looking forward to it. I don't even know if Masvidal Covington's happening, but I don't see any single champion on the roster being able to have the same impact that Masvidal Covington would have. And honestly, I'd rather watch Masvidal Covington than Khabib versus McGregor, because all Khabib versus McGregor would be McGregor talks shit and probably Khabib does a Wanderlei Silva. Goes off, says he'll wait for him to apologize or he's not doing the show. That, honestly, I could see that happening. Khabib is so stubborn, and he doesn't like McGregor so much. I could see it just being a tedious show to get through where McGregor has to hold his tongue a little bit, otherwise Khabib's going to throw a strop with his platoon. I don't know what's going to go on, but I don't see any other matchups. What, Ortega versus Volkanovski is going to be on the show? Fuck off. Get in the fucking bin. You know what I mean? Figueiredo versus Perez? No. Figueiredo versus Garbrandt? Definitely not. Yan versus Sterling? No, it's already happening. So I'm starting to eliminate some contenders here. Maybe McGregor versus Poirier, but I don't know, because I feel like Poirier would just be like, haha, charity, fun, let's be friends. And it would ruin the whole show. So don't do that either. And plus that fight's happening in January anyway, so it's too soon. So that's another one knocked off the list. Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns? No, man. No. I just spat everywhere at the thought of that. No. We can't have Usman Burns. It would be interesting, though, to have Usman versus Burns, because they're from the same gym. So it would be interesting to see all the coaches come in and how they interacted with each other. And maybe Usman Burns would go in as friends and then turn out enemies because they're so close to each other, watching each other train. But still, I don't even want to curse it or jinx it. No fucking Usman on The Ultimate Fighter. For God's sakes, we need to save numbers, okay? We need to save numbers because, oh my God. The numbers of The Ultimate Fighter show before it left were dropping faster than the hair follicle count of Usman's head. Honestly, it was crazy. The Ultimate Fighter was dying, and it died with Whittaker versus Gastelum, and I'm surprised it's coming back, and I'm glad it's coming back. I don't see any other matchup possible other than Masvidal Covington. Fingers crossed. Thank you for watching the show. I don't have a show, but I'm going to be watching Ultimate Fighter for sure. But yeah, like and subscribe. Click that button up there. Goodbye. There was no real structure to this video, I'll be honest with you. There was no real structure, but I had to say stuff. It was just in my head, and it came out my mouth. So there you go. Ultimate Fighter, I'm really excited if it goes the way I want it to. But if it doesn't, and I see Usman versus Burns on there... I'm not even going to think about it. Goodbye.